Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. One of the great commandments. The Sabbath day is of importance to all of us, to Jews and Christians alike. The Sabbath reminds us of the creation of God, and that on a particular day, God, after creating all of the world and all that is in it, chose to rest. And the second reason for the commemoration of the Sabbath is a reminder that we have been delivered from slavery in Egypt. We have been brought along the Exodus through the Red Sea waters into God's promised land. The Sabbath day is meant to be kept holy. There is to be no work done on the Sabbath day, not as a matter of keeping rules or being obsessive, but as a way of remembering the mighty acts that God has done for us. A few years ago, I was in Israel, and I was staying on like the 12th floor of this hotel, and it was Friday evening. I walked in, got into the elevator, and remembered it was Shabbat. Was beginning, the Sabbath was beginning, the sun was down. I walked into the elevator, and I got in, and I started pressing the buttons. Nothing happened. Hitting the buttons, nothing happened. And all of a sudden, the door closes, goes up to floor number 1, the door's open. Doors close. Up to floor number 2, doors open, doors close. What is going on? It's a Shabbat elevator. It's a Sabbath elevator. Because you can do no work on the Sabbath, pushing buttons in the elevator it'd be considered work. So for Orthodox Jews, they could ride the Shabbat elevator. It just goes from floor to floor to floor. What my Orthodox Jewish friends also taught me about at that time was that most of you at home have a refrigerator or an oven that has a Sabbath setting or a Shabbat setting on it. You probably don't even know this, but if you've got like a new refrigerator that dings and has alarms on it and all kind of fancy things, or a new oven, probably one built after 1995, it has a Shabbat setting, a Sabbath setting on it, which allows the refrigerator to work in a way that honors the Sabbath. So for 48 hours, it works in a particular way if you set it that way. And the oven stays at a certain temperature so that you don't have to actually do any work. It's really is powerful. Now you could say, well, that's kind of silly. Get in an elevator and it goes to each floor, or why do I need a Shabbat setting on my refrigerator? Because God has done mighty acts. The Sabbath is meant to be kept holy, a time to remember what God has done for us and that the Sabbath has life. Now, Jesus is in the synagogue teaching on the Sabbath, and appears a woman who has been, it says, bent over, quite unable to stand for 18 years. Later, we find out that Satan has had her under some kind of binding. What it likely means is that this woman, it's not so much about her physical ailment that she's bent over. I think it may be even metaphorical in this case. There's something about her that she's been held in a way that she's not been able to see clearly. She's not been able to experience the fullness of life, probably because of a particular way that she sees the world. Someone said it's like she had a limited view. I mean, if you can imagine, if you know, actually being bent over and not being able to see in the same way, it's kind of like buying theater tickets, you know, the cheap ones where they tell you you can get it for half price, but there's a limited view because there's like a post in the way, or right? I mean, you can see most of what's going on, but you can't see all of what's going on. I think she's got a limited view. The Sabbath day is, though, a day to remember what God has done for us, and it's a day about life. And Jesus didn't want her to have a limited view anymore. And the fact that it was on the Sabbath really ticked some people off. Now, the Pharisees get a bad rap. They really do. In the Bible, they really do. These were holy people. They took the scripture seriously. They took the law of God seriously. They were holy people. They weren't bad people. I mean, they got blinded from time to time, but like the rest of us, though, I put them in the same boat as the rest of us. But we're not talking about the Pharisees this morning that get upset. We're talking about it says a leader of the synagogue. This would be like somebody that's on a vestry or bishop's committee or like a senior warden. Anybody ever serve in those positions? Yeah. This is the cranky senior warden. This isn't the good one. This is the one that's at the that was told they were only going to have to serve for 2 years, and then they're in their like 9th year, and they're still doing it. And this is a person that takes it serious. As the leader of the synagogue says to them, to Jesus, I mean, come on, why are you doing, well, it says to the crowds, but basically addressing Jesus, why are you doing this? Basically saying to this person, like, there are 6 other days. You're not dying here. You've been living with this thing for 18 years. How about you wait 5 hours until the Sabbath is over, and then you can get healed? Why are we doing this now? And this is Jesus as an observant Jew, not Jesus breaking the Sabbath, not Jesus doing something just to fly in the face of the Pharisees or the leader of the synagogue. This is Jesus saying life is what is most important on the Sabbath day. Life on a full view. And so 2 people come into this story with limited views today. A woman for 18 years, for whatever reason, couldn't get out of her own way, it sounds like, and a senior warden or a church leader, a synagogue leader, maybe like you and me, who is just maybe seeing things a little too narrowly. You ever have that time? You ever have those times in your life when you feel yourself starting to get really rigid? I do in around times of transition. If I'm going from one thing to another, like one life phase to another, or I'm asked to change, I can get kind of rigid. Like I can feel rigidity. And I know it inside myself when I have to be right. Do you ever do? I mean, maybe you don't, we're all wired differently, but like when I know I have to be right, and I know I'm getting that limited view. When I start thinking maybe I've got my spiritual life wrapped up, that I sort of have it together. Yeah, I know I'm going to start getting that limited view that's going to make me start saying, come back, you have 6 other days. You don't need to be doing this right now. I can get judgmental. I know I'm getting that limited view when I start getting judgmental, and I'm good at that. I can judge myself. I'm like my best self-critic. I can judge other people too. It depends on the day you catch me, right? We get that limited view. But the Sabbath day, this day, Sundays for us, is a day to remember, and Jesus is calling us back to life. This is a day to remember life. This is a day to reach out and to heal. This is a day to remember that those who are on the margins of the world belong at the center. This is a day to remember that no matter who you are, where you are on your journey, God loves you and is calling you to the center. This is the power of the Sabbath. Jesus just reminds them. Now, the story this morning has got a little flourish in it. If you notice, Jesus has the majority view. I mean, the crowds are very happy with what Jesus said. I mean, they actually agree with Jesus. And probably this senior warden or this vestry person or this synagogue leader is probably one of those people that is always doing this, or at least has been for a while, and they're just happy that he or she got their comeuppance. It says the crowds are thrilled at what Jesus was doing. They're probably just glad this, how sometimes it's like that, that person, you're just glad when somebody finally tells them how it is. I think that's what Jesus did this morning. But Jesus is inviting them to life and is inviting us to life. And sometimes I think Jesus is just telling us how it is. Like, get over yourself. Yeah. Like, I've got this. Like whatever change you're going through, whatever transition, I'm in it. And you can choose life on the other 6 days and particularly on the Sabbath.